Hello, hello. Hello, YouTube, and hello, Facebook, from wherever you are watching. Welcome to episode 8 of Quarantine Virtual Happy Hour. It has been 8 weeks. It's a little crazy to think about, even though technically quarantine is restrictions are starting to lift. I still decided we're going to have a show. I thought it would still be fun. I'm still not going out and about, at least for another few weeks. So excited for tonight's show. I have a really great guest on tonight. She's a popular YouTuber, one of my friends who I met through my Tulsa YouTubers group. And she has a very interesting story to share and is one of the most authentic creators I think I've ever met. And she has agreed to come on and hang out with us tonight and tell her story and how she's just super cool. So without further ado, I see her laughing in the background. And her name happens to also be Stephanie as well, which just makes it even more awesome. So without further ado, I'm going to bring Stephanie Bethany on.
Hello.
Hey, Stephanie. How are
Hey.
you doing tonight?
I'm pretty good. How about you?
Oh, I'm doing good. Well, thanks for coming on my little show here. I call it like my little show. I appreciate your time.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on. I know and giving me your time. I think we must have all been on the same wavelength because your background is purple.
Yes.
I have on a purple shirt, and then the branding that I have on the live stream is purple. And my wine glass is
Oh
purple
my
too,
goodness.
with red wine.
I mean, like
So,
close. Oop, here goes
oh, there we
reddish.
go.
That's close.
Well, Stephanie, one of the first things I like to do is since we can't hang out in person, a cheers to you. So
Just
I'm going to virtual cheers to anyone who is I know, a virtual cheers to anyone who is watching.
yes.
And if you are just hopping on, I am here with open up your
Sorry.
It's okay. And if you are just hopping on, I am here with Stephanie Bethany, a popular YouTube creator here, and she is going to tell us all about her channel and tell us a little bit about her story and all of that. And it's going to be a really great show, kind of going to focus on being authentic on YouTube and why that's important. She is one of the most authentic people I've met, so it's super cool. So Stephanie, I'm gonna give you the reins here, and so tell us your story, Stephanie. How like your creator story, your story, whatever you want to share with us.
Okay. So I always try to like figure out how to condense this because I always go off on like the ramblings of like yesteryear.
Oh,
But like I guess I started posting on YouTube more frequently
hmm
like 2 years ago, I think. And around the time that I got an autism diagnosis, that kind of set kind of how maybe like the theme and stuff like that for my channel. I had been doing like 3 different things and then I like split them apart.
yeah.
So that way it wasn't like confusing for people and stuff like that. But it was quite interesting. It's really cool though because like on YouTube you put out things and stuff, but when someone like when people start saying like you're saying the words that I'm thinking or like
Yeah.
um you're being able to put something into words that I've never been able to explain, like that stuff is really cool. So being able to like explain how I felt before I had known that I have autism. So I'm late diagnosed autistic.
Yeah.
um and what that means for anybody who's like kind of confused,
Yeah.
that doesn't mean like I just like got autism later in life. That just
Yeah.
means that they like caught it, I guess, like they figured it out. Um
Okay.
so like it's been kind of, I don't know, something I've been really focused on now because of course I want to learn about it for myself and then kind of sharing both my journey and what I find out with everybody. So it's
hmm
been pretty cool to kind of connect with other people as well who are
Yeah.
very similar to me in that way, I guess. And
There is
I
a
don't know if that's
community
what
out there.
we're
Yeah, there is a
yeah, yeah.
community out there. I found like there's a lot of people, and I don't know. And you can tell us how you feel. I know that's how you feel about the word advocate, but
Mm.
there are a lot of other autistic YouTubers out there, which I didn't know until I
Yeah.
met you,
Yeah.
who are using their platforms to spread awareness, tell their story, build community around others like you, so you're not alone, and that's just really cool. So,
Mhm.
I mean, I guess I could say technically you're an advocate, but it really
Yeah.
just, no.
Yeah, so,
So
like,
that's
and it's
cool.
weird, like, I don't know, like, that's never been something I'd been familiar with before, you know, like, I don't know, I didn't have a thing that I was like, this is so important that I have to like do a bunch of stuff with all the time or whatever. But a lot of people say like an advocate is someone who is going to be like teaching you about things and helping people
Mhm.
understand and blah blah blah. So I guess technically, yeah,
Yeah,
but it is pretty cool to find out that there are a bunch of others out here too. It sorry, a lot of times with YouTube,
yeah,
like it can feel like you're the only person, if that makes sense,
yeah.
doing what you're doing. And then you start to find out like, oh no, there's like a bunch of us out here. And it's really cool to be able to connect with everybody. But
Absolutely. So how did you um like get to where you are when it comes to your channel, because you have a very incredibly unique niche, in my opinion. Of course, that's one of the things that we're all told when it comes to really making a name for yourself on YouTube and being successful is, niching down,
yeah.
which is very great advice and something that I think is very important. Um, so obviously you have your platform, and so how did you get to where you are right now? Because you're pretty well known, and
Oh,
very well known in your niche and successful, and have really built a community. So what did it tell us that part of the story?
well, like it's okay. So I guess it's kind of it's weird because I guess the concept of imposter syndrome. I guess so. Like
Oh,
the reason I did that. Sorry. Sometimes I'm putting together words is not like my forte.
take
Okay.
your time. We're just hanging out here, man. We're just hanging out.
Sorry about that. So like with my channel, when it started, it was like way back when, and I was just using it as an account on YouTube, and I had actually
Yeah,
made a lyric video that went viral.
yeah,
So I had some subscribers from that, and of course, because it was a lyric video to someone else's song, like those people weren't really engaged with me. And so for the longest time, every time I would see my subscriber count, I'd be like, yeah, but like those aren't my people. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like they're not really here for me. But I've, kind of gotten all that stuff even privated because I would get upset. I'd be like, okay, well, I see that there's views on the lyric video or whatever, but like, do people actually come here for me and what I
yeah,
have to say? And apparently they do. It's very strange. And, like,
yeah,
I've been super flattered very recently by some people who like name me among like their top 3 people they watch in our niche. Um, and like that's just really cool to me. Like it's like it doesn't get through my head, honestly. Like I guess because it doesn't seem real, like oh,
yeah,
okay. Like I know, and I'm not like a super big YouTuber. Obviously, like the people who have like 100K and more and stuff like that. So it's just like an odd phenomenon to me, like to hear people be like, "Oh my gosh, I watch all your videos." I'm like,
yeah.
"You do? Okay." It was pretty cool.
That's
But yeah.
awesome. Well, I did want to say hi. It looks like Flying Falcon is here. So hi, Flying Falcon. Flying Falcon and I, we connected to Flying Falcon. Hey, man. At first, 'cause we've all been watching a lot of live streams, and a lot of, fellow creators, myself, Ray, Carissa does, Lee does, live streams. And so I first met Flying Falcon and Chris's stream, and then we went over to Ray's stream, and now I have the pleasure of having him here in this stream. So thank you so much for joining, and hanging out with us. Anyone who is watching on Facebook and who is watching on YouTube, because we're multi-streaming, which is
Ooh.
pretty cool. Being StreamYard lets us do. Hello, and we have Stephanie Bethany on here, and she is talking about her channel, her creator story, and we're talking about being authentic on YouTube. So if you are new here, please, why don't you put new down in the comments, because I'd love to meet you. We both would love to meet you guys if you're new to our streams here. So we have
You
we have the stuck squared
yes.
situation. That's a joke that we. I think it popped into my head at one of our Tulsa YouTuber meetups. I'm like, it's stuck squared, or maybe somebody else said it, but
I don't
it just stuck. So it's
yeah.
pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So another question: when it comes to, autism,
Mm,
society has a perception of what that means, and
yeah.
most of the time it's the wrong perception. Like they might not understand. So what are your thoughts like on society's perception. I mean, because like, I mean, it's part of your story. You know,
Mhm.
you have autism. It's part of who you are,
Yeah.
and it's a story that you know, broadcast on YouTube and connect with people on. But what is your, when it comes to society's perception of autism? I
It's
know you've talked
interesting.
about that on your channel before.
Yeah, no, yeah, sorry. It's interesting because it's usually a lot of people think of autism as when you think of like what people might consider severe autism, more people would prefer like uh there are so many rules to how you say things
Yeah,
because the language is very important to a lot of people. So like we don't tend to like using functioning labels because they're not very accurate, but in a general sense people might use it to say that someone is low functioning, or have higher support needs. So a lot of times when someone thinks autism, they might think of someone who might not be able to speak using their words out their mouth, or someone who is going to be in need of constant care, and that is definitely autism too. So it's hard
yeah,
because if I say I have autism, I've gone up to parents of autistic children who
yeah,
are mostly nonverbal, and I was like, oh, I have autism too, and they're like,
yeah. You do? Yeah.
sure you do, like,
I honestly, and I don't mean to interrupt, but honestly,
no, go
like
for it.
when I first met you, I had no clue.
Yeah.
I had no clue until we started, you know, talking to, you know, getting to know each other.
Mm.
So, you know, so I could definitely understand. They'd be like, "You do?" But like, how can you? Because like, you don't seem like the typical person that I would think has autism.
Mm. Yeah, and
Yeah,
like it's weird because like it, it's like both. I guess the not sure if it'd be mostly be like the worst of both worlds. I guess in one
yeah,
sense, it's kind of like, oh, like you couldn't be, but then like you stay around long enough, and you're like, there's something wrong with you, like
yeah.
something isn't right there.
Oh,
Well, I mean, I'm out of frame here, but I'm like constantly stimming with my hand right now, and
yeah,
most people aren't going to be doing that, and it's okay to be different. It's just
yeah,
funny because like most people aren't going to be doing that, so that's kind of like what's going on with you. But it's interesting because I think society has been really taught that autism is like a tragedy, that so like
yeah.
if you say, oh, my child has autism, it's like, oh, I'm so sorry, like,
Oh,
and that kind of idea of like, oh, well, like how do you fix that, like how do they get better from that. And so a lot of
yeah,
kind of what I do and a lot of what the community does is working on helping people understand that autistic people are people and we're not
yeah,
like a tragedy or a burden, even for people who are higher support needs than myself, who might need a caretaker all the time, that
yeah,
they're just as much a human being as anybody else. But yeah.
yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, that's a good explanation. I definitely have learned a lot. You know, watching your channel and learn, you know, because you do like provide a lot of really great education on your channel. I'm going to share the screen again so everyone can see here, and you talk about all kinds of really cool stuff from like things that are, you know, in the news, um to just, you know, opinions to this. This got my attention. This thumbnail right here, and I think that's pretty awesome. What is spoon theory, Stephanie?
It's a theory. Someone had to
Gonna put
basically
you on
they're
the spot here.
no,
Everyone,
it's
I'm
okay.
sure, wants to know.
It's okay. It's just really funny that you're like, what is that?
I know.
So I kept hearing people say things like, I don't have enough spoons for this, or like, if you have enough spoons for blah blah blah, can you blah blah blah? And I'm like, spoons? Like, what are we talking about? So it's actually originated from someone who has, I think they had lupus, and they live with a chronic illness. It's really difficult for them, and they were out eating with their best friend who had been with them through like the whole entire process of learning about it, and then them living through it. And
Mhm.
their friend was like, well, what is it like to be sick? What is it like to be living with lupus like that?
Oh
And
my goodness.
so she's like, well, you've been here, all the like the side effects and all the things that happen. And She's like, "Well,
Yeah.
like, what is that like?" So,
Yeah.
on the spot, they're out eating, so she grabs some spoons and gives her spoons and says, you know, people with chronic illness have only so many spoons for their day, and people who are not ill or not disabled or whatever else, they
Yeah.
seem to have like unlimited spoons. They don't have to worry about that. So,
Gotcha.
for example, she was trying to walk her through like, so you what do you need to do today? And she's like, oh, well, okay, I'm gonna get up out of bed and I'm gonna go such and such place. And she's like, slow down. First you have to like get up out of bed, then you need to go to the bathroom, and then you have to spend a spoon on taking a shower because of how difficult that can be. And so just kind of this concept
Oh,
of
I
like those
gotcha.
things that we think should be simple might be more difficult for someone else.
I
So,
gotcha.
that applies to
Excellent.
disability too, is the whole point of, like, bringing it back,
Yeah.
especially with, like, autism and executive dysfunction, so, like,
Yeah.
there's all these little steps that a lot of people are like, "Eh, you know, I just hop in the shower and I'm done," whereas
Yeah.
it's like, well, there's you know, you have to wash your hair and you have to wash, and for some people that just starts to, like, bog down,
Yeah.
and kind of, I guess, eat away at their energy and stuff like that. But in that video description, the original story's in there. So if you ever want to check it out,
Let me see if
she
I can
explains it
bring it
better.
up without. Boop. Okay. Well, I was gonna bring it up, but we'll just. Okay. Live show. Live show, everybody.
Woo!
Okay. So I was gonna bring that up, but yeah, but you talked about just all kinds of really cool things on I mean, on your channel, everything from just, I mean, and you provide a lot of education to people as well, like, myths about autism. And by the way, you always wear really cool wigs
Yeah.
sometimes, which I think are so cool. Like
Thank
right
you.
here, I love this purple one. And then this one here. I'm very inspired to possibly get a wig or wigs now because
Right.
of the really cool wigs. And that's kind of one of the things that I think has really made you unique, because people are
Mm.
maybe going to say, well, what wig is she going to be wearing
Yeah.
today, or what is she going to be doing here? And like this deep purple one here, where you're talking about something like, pretty serious and important, but
Mm.
you're wearing this really cool
Right.
yeah, so just all kinds of really cool stuff. And you even and then we've got cool, there's Carissa, hello. Um, but yeah, it's just really cool. And you even talked in one of your most recent videos, talked about um, a show that you watched recently
Mm.
that I thought was pretty cool. It was this one right here. It's
Mm.
called Everything's Gonna Be Okay,
Yeah.
and that was really interesting, like how they portrayed someone with autism in that show. And your thoughts were pretty interesting. 'Cause it's maybe not what people typically would think of. And sometimes
Mm.
that can be kind of hard if you're trying to portray someone in a show with a disability that
Yeah.
you maybe don't have yourself. You've got to do a lot of research and be really careful when it comes to portraying that. So
Mhm.
it was interesting to hear your thoughts on that for sure.
Yeah, and it was really cool, especially with that show, with the main character, or one of the main cast characters, who is autistic. For the character is also an autistic person, so it was a lot
That's
nicer to see
cool.
because it was natural. It wasn't just like someone trying to emulate what they think, it
Yeah,
might look like
she
or something.
actually was. That's
Yeah.
cool. And this, look at the wig you're wearing in this one. That is so cool. So since we're talking about wigs, and if you look at Stephanie's thumbnails here, as you can see, oh, it looks like Twitch and Moan says Steph Squad squared. Hi, Twitch and
Woo!
Moan.
Hey.
Thanks for hopping on the chat here. Yeah, we definitely do have a Steph squared situation for anyone who is just now hopping on and checking us out either on YouTube or Facebook. Hello, and I have Stephanie Bethany. I'm Stephanie Carper, and we're talking about being authentic on YouTube. So I thought with this topic, why don't I bring on one of the most authentic, real people that I know, who's definitely herself on YouTube. And so we were just talking about the really cool wigs that Stephanie wears, that you'll see if you scroll through her thumbnail. Sometimes it's her real hair, like right here, and then sometimes it's really cool wigs. And so if you see, look at that one. look at that dark purple one. That is like so cool. And look at this one. It's like that reminds me. It's like it makes me think of a unicorn. The
Yeah.
colors.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
I've actually had
So,
a oh, sorry.
oh no, go ahead. What were you
I've
gonna
actually
say?
had a mom reach out to me because their daughter and her watch, and they were like,
Uh-huh.
"So I want to know where you get your wigs because we always want to see which wig you're wearing," and and so it's just really cute to like have someone reach out about it. I was like, "Oh,
That is
yeah."
so cute. And it's just really cool if you talk about something serious, kind of like this one here. Am I an
Mm,
autism advocate?
mm,
And your thoughts on that, you still kind of provide, bring like a little light to the situation and entertain people as well as informing them when you wear your wigs here,
yeah.
which makes it even more unique and authentic. So do tell me, Stephanie, and you've told me this story before, but let's tell anyone who's watching, what made you decide to start wearing these really cool wigs in some of your videos? Because I don't think you always started out wearing
Mm.
these wigs, or did you
Well,
always and I just didn't know?
I didn't just because I didn't have access to them. So, well, like, cause okay, so like, I don't know. I watch other people and was like, this is super cool hair and like things I can't do with my hair. And then like wigs are a thing, and so I was like, well, I can try out like having cool different kinds of hair and not like actually do it to my head. And also, it's
Yeah,
really helpful for like filming because I'm
yeah,
just changing your hair up for different things when you are batch filming is it's not
yeah.
fun. So it's like you can do a whole new look or whatever just by
That's
like
a good
changing out your
tip.
wig. It's very fun. I like
Good tip.
it.
I love it. I love it. I think you even did a video on one of your other channels where you tried giving one of your wigs a haircut.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, Stephanie, so it takes a lot of confidence to do what you do on YouTube and to just, completely own who you are. And a lot of people don't have the confidence. And I think a lot of, at least for me, when it comes to doing YouTube, as extroverted as I am, it still is a confidence project for me. Like I still even like, especially on live like
Mm.
this, like I even got some butterflies in my stomach, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why? I'm going to be talking to one of my friends. It's totally fine. But then sometimes with edited videos, when I'm literally in a room looking at my camera, talking to myself by myself with no one else around, I still find myself getting a little bit nervous as extroverted as I am. So I think it's kind of it's a confidence project.
Yeah.
And
And-
so, but you have just taken it to the next level because you're being truly authentic and 100% yourself. You're not pretending to be anybody else. And there are a lot of other advocates and popular creators in your niche, but you're not copying them by any means.
mm.
You're not doing everything that everybody else does. You're just doing you. And so what would your advice be, especially if it's someone in your niche or just anyone in general how do you have the confidence to do what you do? Because you do it well, girl.
Oh, well, thank you.
As they say,
Well, I
do
think
it
I
well.
think I think part of the particular niche that we all in our niche kind of benefit from is autism because when you are autistic, it tends to be kind of harder to, to be somebody else when you're sharing your heart, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
like I don't know,
Yeah.
it feels like I guess for me the way I use YouTube is to be able to share who I am because it is just a camera and I can edit so I can fix the problems later. So it's
Mhm.
not as scary as like right now where I kind of stumble over my words and I can't put it all together.
Well,
Where
I'm
it's
100 we're 100% ourselves. Like, what everybody
Mm,
watching right now who's watching live, and thank you for everyone who's watching live.
well, thank you.
Thank you to anyone who watches in the replay, but this is like 100% who this Stephanie and that Stephanie is, because we can't edit this out
Right?
later. I mean, maybe I could if I tried, but this is us.
Like, yeah, that's the thing with life. That's what
I
makes it
know, right?
scarier. But like,
Yeah.
so I guess it's just like, I guess for building confidence or whatnot is to remember like, first of all, it's practice because
Mhm.
I had some seriously cringy first videos that I've ever
Oh
done.
my, don't
Like,
even get me started on.
oh,
Oh
why did
yeah.
I do that?
I
Like,
know.
like,
I've even thought about privating some of those older videos, especially since I just, I'm going into a new niche. Like it took me several years to actually finally find my calling and realizing that I wanted to use my creative skills to help people and teach people how to use YouTube. Just, the power of video, basically. I mean,
Yeah.
we're talking about you, not me, but kind of, it's nerve wracking sometimes because especially if you go into something where there's a lot of other people, you're like, oh, well, they're doing it so much better. And like, how am I going to get to that level? And who's going to want to watch me if there's like Sean Cannell or
Right.
Roberta Blake and we're then like influencers in your niche, but you just have to do it. You just have to be you.
Yeah, and I think
And
also like it has to
it'll take
be
you time to
yeah,
get
yeah. I
to the
think like
certain level.
also with the issue of like wondering like, why would someone want to watch me? Like
Yeah.
honestly, I think it matters what you're passionate about
Mhm.
because like for me, all of my life I've made video in some way. Like
Yeah.
there was Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron came out on DVD and it had a little editing thing on their extras DVD and you could edit little things together of like you make up your own scene and I thought it was like the best thing in the whole wide world. So
Oh,
like
fun.
even from like 3rd grade or something, no, probably younger than that. Oh my gosh. Anyway, I was messing with those sorts of things. That's how I express. So
There
like
you
for me,
go.
like yeah, a million people might have said the same things about like what the criteria for having autism is, but
Yeah.
I want to look into it and I want to be able to share it how I understand it. And some people are going to receive the way I say it better than someone else, and maybe someone else better
Yeah.
than I say it. And I think that's like the cool thing about
Oops.
the.
Sorry, everybody. I
It's
meant to take
okay.
that one. Continue, Stephanie. I'm sorry to interrupt your
Okay.
flow.
It's like I just think that's like the cool thing about the internet is like as much as people want to be like, oh, like who are you to talk on this or who are you like no one cares. Like is some people I watch them just to hear them talk. I don't even care what they're
Mhm.
talking about. There's some
You
people
connect
like
with that
yes,
person. You
exactly.
come
So
for that person.
and there will be your people. Like one thing that I brought up with Carissa from Carissa Lee,
Yes.
we were talking about like
She's
the
our
concept
buddy.
of sorry.
She's our buddy. No, I just said
Yes.
she's our buddy.
Yes. We're talking about the concept of everyone having an audience and I remembered there was a video or a creator like way back when I
Yeah.
think out of Japan and all she would do is stare into the camera and blink.
Like this. Is
Yep.
she looking?
And then she just made these little videos. She had millions of followers. There's someone out there for
I went
everybody.
blank.
Like it doesn't make sense sometimes. There you go. That can be your new.
That's gonna be my new thing.
Yeah.
Actually, that should be the video that I should put on my channel for like new subscribers or people who aren't subscribed. You know how you can put like a little feature video. I could just doing like,
This is
are you
me.
gonna
Hi.
subscribe to my channel? Are you here? Are you here? Are you here? I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna do that. I promise everybody. I know that was kind of scary. It'd be funny if someone was just hopping on the live and they saw me doing that. Yeah. I probably
Really?
scared them.
That's all good.
No, but like there's an audience for everybody out there.
Mm.
There really is. Like you'll find your people, that's for sure. So what is my next question for you, Stephanie? And then you can feel free to pick my brain as well. But
Okay.
or ask me what you want. Here, I'll give you that. I'm putting you on the spot, so I'll let you ask me whatever whatever you want. I know that's evil.
Hmm.
So what so what would you say so far with your platform, and you have a really great reach and a great subscriber base, so you've been able to really use your platform to do awesome things. What would you say so far in your journey is maybe the coolest opportunity that you've had so far that your channel has brought you, do you think?
Hmm. That's a good question. So
Putting
like
you on the spot, sister.
there's
Hmm.
been some like foot in the door moments, I think, where like I am in contact with a local autism organization, um, where right now, like, basically, it hasn't gone anywhere yet, if that makes sense. But if they were to start a campaign like they were kind of talking about in a meeting that they had with like local area people concerned about autism, um, I told them that I would help them with that, and then they basically kept my information for that, and then like later on like followed me on Twitter and stuff. So that's kind of cool. But I think other than being able to, because I've been able to speak on panels with Tulsa YouTubers, so that's been pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I think probably the coolest is that I've been kind of invited into a group for contributing content for a site that a lot of people go to for autism information. So I'm
Oh,
kind of really excited about that. And like the community there is very diverse. And knowing that, like, even though we all have like these totally different perspectives, that like everybody's there to appreciate those different perspectives and everything, and to like be invited to collaborate and contribute to that was pretty freaking cool. So
that is cool.
so yeah.
It's like I truly like I can just picture you someday because you're so confident in what you do and the information that you provide. I just and correct me if you think it's not something you want to do, but I can just picture you someday like doing speaking gigs, like speaking at, and I don't know for sure. Like maybe there are. I don't know if there's conferences about geared at autism and different topics and things like that. But I can just picture you really truly just growing as an influencer and speaking someday. Is that something that you've thought about?
Yeah, that really is.
Something I've thought about. I know. Like I have a
Yeah.
whole goal list that I've written
See,
down.
I should really do that. Like I was like, that would be a nice thing to do, but I don't like ever like put them down and stuff. That's probably a better thing to do. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's something I've wanted to do. Like something that I really thought of a lot is like those people who go in to talk to the schools and they talk to
Yeah.
like the students and stuff. Like I think that'd be really cool to do. I know it's not like a high profile kind of thing, but like to me that's affecting people who like need to understand, because like I didn't understand like hardly anything about autism or Asperger's or anything like that.
Yeah.
And Asperger's is on the autism
And
spectrum
there's
now.
different types of
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah, and so like knowing more about it, or like letting people know like it's okay, like if you're like
Yeah.
me, like you're not just an outcast and you don't suck. So like stuff like that, or like helping um educators and people in places that can do things to understand how to work with autistic people, and what's kind of appropriate. Especially like a lot of my attention has been kind of slowly turning towards like the institutions and stuff, and
Hmm.
how people are treated there. And so like that kind of stuff, if I was able to go speak with people like that, that'd be pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool. That's pretty awesome. So Stephanie, what would you say? Oh, you know what? One more question, and then I'm
Oh,
going to let you ask me like whatever you want to ask me.
okay.
We'll keep it fun here. What would your and we kind of touched on this like a little bit already, but what would your advice be for new creators, especially now with what's going on in the world right now, and saying, "Oh, should you start this? Like I've got something to say, but I just don't know."
Mm.
What would your advice be for someone who's maybe on the fence, or for current or future creators who may be struggling?
Such a moment. Sorry.
Sometimes I get a little deep, and then I go off the other end, and we're just all crazy. So I try to keep it real here.
I guess like if you feel like it's worth saying, then say it. I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
You don't have to have like right now, you might notice that my screen here is kind of like
yeah.
yellow and funky colors. That's because I'm using a webcam right now. So like
Start with what you got.
you can start, yeah, exactly. That's where I'm trying to go. Thank you. You just what
Want me
you
to put
have.
you full screen so we can totally see?
Okay.
Let me see. Hold on. Hold on. I'm gonna take myself off.
Whee! I'm like underneath a bunk bed right now. So, like just starting with where you are. People want to hear you. You probably don't realize it. People want to hear you. If like it might not be practical right now. You don't have to be like perfect. You don't have to be like, the biggest YouTuber in your area that you really like, or niche or subject or whatever. Like
Hmm.
just write down the things, like the way that I got best started was
Mhm.
writing down all the things like I want to talk about that. I want to talk about this. I want to learn about that. I want to talk about this. And just putting that whole list and just doing it. There you go.
Yeah.
You don't have to like wait for a golden moment to be like, aha, calling all
Yeah.
new YouTubers. Like
'Cause honestly, I
yeah.
think, like, the golden moment probably is never gonna come. Like, if that's
Yeah.
what you're waiting for, like, the perfect time is never gonna come, and I think just start now. Like, there is an audience out there for you, and, of course, there's a whole bunch of other technical stuff behind starting a channel, which you guys can come to my channel for because 'cause I'll
Yeah.
be sharing that knowledge. Um, but, just don't let that I would s and that what you said exactly right, but, like, just don't let it overwhelm you. Like, don't think, "Oh, I've gotta have a fancy camera," or, "Oh, I've gotta
Mm.
have a studio space," because you wanna see, like, right now, that's my living room. You see that? That's my living room. That's where I am right now. So, I mean, just start with what you've got. I'm using my webcam right now because I don't have a fancy like, there's different, more advanced ways you can do live streams, but I'm just using my webcam just like you are. So,
Yeah.
start with what you got. So that's pretty
Yours doesn't turn you yellow at least.
no, I don't know. No.
Mine I think it's because I have mixed lighting going on, so it, like, makes it
Yeah.
worse. It's
I
yeah.
have a lamp behind my camera, that's my fancy lighting. I
Nice.
have one of those fancy ring lights, like, on order, but the
Mm.
majority of my lighting is just natural lighting, the lighting in my living room, and then, like, I literally I'm staring at the lamp, that's really stupid. I have a lamp I don't know why I just did that, like, I'm talking about the lamp and I'm staring at it. Um, but I have a lamp behind my computer, and so that's start
Yeah.
with what you got. So,
Yeah.
alright, Stephanie, so I've been putting you on the spot this whole time. And if you don't have any questions for me, that's totally fine. But like, feel like what question do you have for me? I'm gonna let you
I
put me
have
on the spot.
I have one for, our first interaction, actually.
Sure.
I'm curious.
It was really
So
pretty funny. I remember.
what, what, what were your thoughts? I guess, what was going through your mind, when you first met me at a meeting? Sorry. I was just curious because that's something I've been thinking about for a while. I know that's kinda weird, but I just
It's
wanna
okay.
know.
No, like when I first met you, I think I kind of like I came I did. I came and I sat next to you,
Mhm.
I believe. And I'm very extroverted. So sometimes I can be intimidating to people, like, because I'm super, super bubbly. I'm like, hey, how are you? Because like that's just how it comes out.
Mm.
So I did kind of sense that. I mean, I could sense immediately that you were. I didn't know immediately that you were autistic until we started talking.
Yeah.
But I can sense that you were very extrovert. I mean, not extrovert, excuse me, introverted. And I felt like I didn't mean to until after I did, but I felt like I kind of came on a little strong. So I was like, "Hey, how are you?" And you kind of were just like, you didn't make the motions. I could tell that you were like, "Whoa, who is this bitch?" I'm going to speak freely here. So, I felt like I probably intimidated you a little bit, but I think eventually, at once once we talked a little bit more, I sensed I needed to tone my personality down a little bit. I kind of go like tone myself down, and then once we talked, I mean it was great once we started talking,
Mm.
but I did feel like I probably like came on a little strong for you at first.
A little bit, yeah.
And I even have to because it can be like and on the opposite end, introverts, you can speak as an introvert when it comes to interactions with people, but like I just naturally am super bubbly,
Mm.
super energetic, just super happy. And so I come on kind of strong sometimes. So I even have to consciously think sometimes that I might need to tone my personality down
Mm.
because I am pretty empathic as well. I mean, not that I'm like a like woo woo like
Yeah, yeah,
magical like empathic, but I can usually sense how people are feeling. And so like immediately I was thinking in my head, I'm like, oh, Oops, did I just hear this girl?
I wasn't sure how to take you because I knew that, like,
I think that was one of my first meetings that I'd been to in a while as well. So I actually was a little nervous, believe it or not.
Oh, I feel bad now. I mean, like,
No, don't feel bad. Don't feel
like,
bad. That's why I was kind of coming on probably kind of strong for everybody. But I was when I get nervous.
I didn't know. Yeah, like I didn't know if I was making you nervous because
No, when I get nervous,
I know I was.
I'm sorry. When I get nervous, my extrovertedness kind of goes up a couple notches because I'm trying to pep myself up and not be nervous. So that's from an extrovert's point of view. So back to what you were saying. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Well, it's interesting because like I didn't know how to take you because like I knew I was stimming, which like especially there was probably rocking back and forth pretty hard.
I didn't want to. I noticed that, so I knew that you were. I don't want to say different, like as in a bad way, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, but I didn't say anything because I thought that would be really rude to actually say like, "What's going on?" You know. And I felt really bad because I didn't want to make light of it because I'm sure it's something that you're very aware of.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wanted to. I didn't want to make light of that.
It's funny to me because like I'm aware that it's happening, right? So like you said hello in this very peppy voice, and I'm like, does she think like, does she not know how to deal with me? You know, like because like I know like I can really intimidate people, so like they're like, hey.
Most people don't intimidate me, so it wasn't that at all. I just felt bad because I felt I came on a little strong, but. But Twitch and Moan says, my first time talking to Steph at a meetup is a fond memory of mine.
Yeah.
See? Yeah, so I came on a little strong, and you didn't know what I was thinking, and
it's just interesting because like I guess like I wasn't sure like because okay, so like I've had people, for example, when I'm in a public place and there's a lot of people, I stim more. So I went to an event one time at one of my college's campuses. I was literally just like in there and they were setting up and they're like, you should stick around. And I was like, okay. So I had my headphones on because it was getting really loud and I was stimming and this girl comes up to me and she's like, hi, like really like that. And I was like
me.
Hi. But so like it's hard for me to tell the difference between someone being just, energetic and kind and someone being like, I'm gonna talk to you like you're a child.
Oh my god! I see what you mean. I totally get it.
Because like that particular lady then revealed like she was going to school for like special ed teaching and stuff, and so like she's like, you're gonna have so much fun, and I was just like, I'm an adult.
I would be like I'm thinking I'm not 5.
So like I wasn't sure how to take you either because like in my brain like those things are like similar, right? So it's just interesting like learning how different people are and like trying to adapt to that. So I was just curious on like what your perception of was them.
No, I always try to be very aware of other people's feelings, and especially if there's something that I can automatically tell that they probably are very aware of, but they might be self-conscious about. And I don't know if you're self-conscious about your stimming. You can tell me in a second. But I tried not to make light of that, and I don't want people to think that I'm going to treat them differently because they're different.
Yeah.
And so so that's kind of that was me in our first interaction.
She's like, really make me super uncomfortable.
No, I'm just kidding. I think about that sometimes too. I think we talk about it a lot as well. Sometimes when we hang out, it's just really funny.
Sorry, my brain gets stuck on things, so I'm sorry if I bring up things that you're like,
okay,
but like I feel like we can
like it's a great memory. And it's funny. We can laugh about it.
Okay.
Yeah. So how did you and that now I have a question for you. Like when you're when you as an introvert, we want to how do you like when you first meet someone who's an extrovert? Like I'm like an extrovert, like plus, 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 plus. But when you meet like an extrovert, someone who's exactly opposite of you,
Mm.
what is your first thoughts? Like, how do you react to someone who's like the exact polar opposite of you?
It's hard for
I
me
like to
to
ask a lot
be
of introverts this because I find the psychology of it really interesting.
like, I
So
think it depends. So, like, I think a lot of times my first thought, and this might be influenced by, my life experiences, I guess, but my first thing is like, are you being for real? Because in my world, people do not naturally have that much like outgoing hype, right? So I'm just
yeah,
like, are you faking? Are you for real? And then like, but then like when people are like still being that way and are like still like being like kind about it and everything, then sometimes I'll try to match you a little bit. But a lot of
yeah,
times what happens is like, I have another friend who is pretty extroverted as well. So like
yeah.
I bring her down and she brings me up a little bit. And kind of like
Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's the best thing. It's like you kind of balance each other out. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Oh my goodness. So we have Flying Falcon still here, and we had a Deuce Baggy come in, and I haven't seen you in any live streams before. So hi to everyone in the comments and who is just on. You have a Stuff Squared situation here. Well, that's awesome, Stephanie. Thank you. We're almost at about 15 minutes now. Um, so thank you so much for your time. It really means a lot. You giving me your time and coming to hang out. Like I know that technically quarantine restrictions are being lifted, but
Mm.
I am not. I'm going to be staying put for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So I decided I'd do one more quarantine live stream, which
Oh,
probably is going to be my last one. However, it's not going to be my last live stream. But thank you so much for coming on and
well, thanks for having me.
talking about your story. And we're having a couple laughs and all of that. Did you have any ending words for YouTube and Facebook?
Every time this gets me, I'm sorry.
Oh, it's
I
okay. Yay! Yeah, just gotta
yeah,
keep on going, keep
yeah.
on keeping on. All right, well, Stephanie, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It was really fun having you on,
Yeah, thank you for having
and
me.
hopefully we'll be able to have. I don't know when we'll be able to have our Tulsa YouTubers meetups again, but maybe I'll see you then. If not,
Yeah.
I'll see you online.
Okay.
All right, Stephanie, thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye. All right. Well, that was so awesome. I really love Stephanie Bethany. She's such a great person and such a great individual, and I really like her content. So I'm going to have a link to Stephanie's channel in the links down below. So definitely go check her channel out. She has a lot of really great content about autism, really great reviews. If you want to see what wig she's going to be wearing in her next video, definitely go check her out. So thank you so much, Stephanie, for her time. And thank you to everyone who was watching, who commented. It really means a lot to me. And as I did mention just now, this is going to be my last in the quarantine virtual happy hour series here in Oklahoma and in other parts of the world and the country. We do, the restrictions are starting to be lifted, although I still personally am going to self quarantine at least for another few weeks. But it will not be the last of my live streams that I have. I'll have a lot of great content ideas and great guests coming on that I think will really provide some great value and be really fun. So look be on the lookout for that. See, now I'm getting all tongue tied. But thank you so much. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. I really appreciate your time. And stay safe out there, everybody. And just keep on keeping on, like Stephanie and I were just talking about. And I will see you in the next one. Bye, everybody. Right. End broadcast. End.